Hey everybody, James Yeager, Type Response. Got Chris Barrett here today. We are at the world famous Barrett manufacturing facility here in Middle Tennessee. And Chris is going to kind of take us through the factory and show us kind of how things are made here. We're really excited about this, man. There's 1,000 questions and I know you're going to answer a bunch of them.
I'm excited about it. I love what we do.
Let's go. Are these weights to work out with, Chris?
They might be. This is the barrel cell. So every barrel for every Barrett rifle is made here from rifled blanks.
Right here?
Right here on these 3 machines. A couple other little ancillary machines we got on the side, but you know, the beauty of this thing, this cell and this manufacturing process set up this way, is we can start in the morning with a barrel blank, and these are 50 cal blanks, so they're kind of stout. But in a few hours, that goes from rifle blank to actual completed barrel. So we kind of have a lot of flexibility on what we make that day for a specific model. But more importantly to us, we have complete control over every operation that happens to that barrel, from chambering, threading the muzzle in, threading the chamber in. We keep everything super straight.
Now, over the years, we've talked about barrels a lot, the difficulty with making barrels and flowing chrome and different things, different ways that barrels are made. So you guys, do you feel like you've got a pretty good grasp on it now?
I'd say we have absolutely nailed it. It is the biggest reason why every rifle that Barrett makes shoots the way it does. And when I say that, I don't just mean rifles that we expect to shoot good like an MRAD, the sniper rifle systems, but like our hunting rifles, our Rec 7 carbines, nothing we make shoots over an MOA in any of those rifles. So awesome. It was very important to us. We wanted to build barrels the way a custom gunsmith builds them, but instead of 1 at a time, you know, several a day or 100 a day.
Right.
So we think we've really got that process mastered.
Fantastic. What are these?
These are actually barrels for the new Fieldcraft hunting rifle. So, you know, one of the smaller, lighter barrels we make, even our hunting rifle barrel, we thread for a suppressor, which is a great idea. But this rifle shoots incredibly well. You can see the quality of the chamber in there. I mean, wow, I'm even impressed this morning. That's like really good. That is really good. And, you know, that's the difference you get between some typical production rifles. They don't all have this level of care in them. This is gunsmith, one-off build quality in a production setting.
Fantastic. I put that in backwards.
Oh man, that guy will flip out if he sees that. This cell makes a lot of similar parts. You know, we're not such a high volume manufacturer that this cell makes this part every day of the year, but for parts that are kind of the same architecture and same processes, they all get ganged into this cell. So MRAD receiver, 98B receiver, and the hand guards for the Rec series. All kind of similar construction. They're made from aluminum extrusions that have a similar form, so that's why they all work really well in here. But we want complete control over these parts too. You know, just like the barrel being the heart of the rifle that makes it shoot so well, a lot of the aesthetics and the precision are in these chassis also, and these other major components. So in this cell we've got, you know, a sawing operation that happens on the extrusions, and then it comes to a couple of boring operations that put the big deep hole in, and then 2 4-axis machines that do the outside processes.
Very cool.
The boring happens pretty fast, and that's why we had to have 2 machines on the 4-axis side just to keep up. Right. So it's all about balancing the load of throughput for the parts, and that's things that guys a lot smarter than me understand here. So thank goodness I got them.
Me too. Yeah.
So this is deburr and finishing. This is where we put a lot of the hand touches and the final touches on the products that make them look really great and function right. You know, we cannot have burrs on anything that's mechanical. He didn't even know that happened. We just got wet a little bit. So yeah, we can't have burrs on any of the parts, you know, for aesthetics, but also for function. So every piece here gets touched in some way. You know, like here's a bipod screw, a bipod pivot screw. So these are here from the machine. You know, they've got a few sharp edges on them, but not bad. They'll go in this automated blaster. Well, they'll be shot peened and blasted and prepared to be parkerized. And then a larger part, you know, so it ranges everything from a really small part like this to an upper receiver for an M107. So here's a part that's like 36 inches long, sheet metal. It's got a lot of sharp edges. It's been welded on. These guys back here that are truly artists on this gun touch a lot of this by hand with hand sanding tools, but then the whole overall upper receiver gets tumbled in a ceramic media that knocks all those little sharp edges off and makes it smooth. Next, they'll go into the shot blaster also, be shot blasted and cleaned and parkerized. And then almost everything now is Seracoted. Yep. So it's the prep is so important.
Like the attention to detail on Barrett rifles, like when people look at a Barrett rifle, like to me, like an AR-15, they go, wow, that cost whatever percent more than my brand. I'm like, they don't know you like I do. Like you as a shooter, as a gun owner, they don't know you as a manufacturer like I do. They don't know this screw like I do.
Right.
And so I try to educate people on why, you know, what the Barrett difference is, and it is a company owned by, you're the second generation of shooter here, and attention to detail like that is unprecedented. So some of you guys might have a tumbler for your brass. Look at this. This is like the biggest tumbler I've ever seen, and they tumble various parts in here, and it's like everything is like supersized here from your home gun shop. Like all the stuff that, like their Dremel tools are this big here and stuff. It's just kind of cool to see the parts turning here and all the machine processes. This is a tumbler right here. This whole thing. That's just crazy to me. Like you need to tumble a lot of stuff to need a tumbler that big. What's next?
Well, more finishing ops. You know, here's some of these guys that I was talking about that are really skilled.
All right, Chris, one time I was with you and your dad. Your dad was telling me that the magazine was as hard to create as a gun.
That is true.
So, like, tell us about these, like, what goes into making that magazine?
That is the 82/M107 series magazine. Yeah, we can grab. Can we pull one from there?
Please, sir. Thank you.
You know, and this mag has been around for several years. It takes years to perfect a magazine, and especially when you talk about in a semi-automatic or automatic gun rifle, they're so touchy. And if the magazine doesn't work, the whole system doesn't work. And it takes a long time and many years of maturing. It's why you see on some other magazines, like Glock mags is one people are really familiar with. You see those little revision numbers on your magazine, and they're like on revision 42 for this generation. Well, there's a reason why. You know, it's one of the most touchy things on any firearm. You find little things as you go. That's 30-something years of refinement and maturity.
And what gets me is people act like they buy their Glock pistol and the magazines never wear out. They're like, oh, that's a wear item. You gotta buy new ones every once in a while. But like for you guys that don't understand, and not that I do, the ton of engineering, like the length of this thingy right here, like off by a little bit, changes the reliability of the gun.
That's right.
Just the curvature. If the curvature isn't right, or and things like that, there's subtle nuances about a magazine that, like, I didn't even understand. I still don't understand, but I didn't even understand the complexity until I started hanging out with you guys. And you guys, oh no. Like, we were talking about something, you said, yeah, they made that take an AR-15 magazine. That was the smartest thing they could have ever done because it was an existing magazine and they're already on the market. Now, it was years ago. I don't remember what gun we were talking about, but just hearing Chris and his father talk about the challenges designing a magazine just made me appreciate these things more, you know.
And one of the things that makes me cringe, and you've probably seen it too, now that we talk about like everything that went into this magazine, been working on this magazine for 35 years. We are probably on like our 100th spring revision. And then aftermarket people make an aftermarket string for your magazine. We thought it needed to be like heavier. You know, what goes into these things, the testing, the field experience, maybe even more so than in-house testing that you learned over 35 years, you got to be really careful. And there's a lot of great aftermarket modifications out there for guns, but you have to consider what like this hive mind here over 35 years has put into refining something to make it work.
Yeah.
You can't just go swapping stuff.
I tell people that all the time, be careful what pieces you change.
Be very careful.
Thank you. Sorry to get in your way there. All right, Chris, what we got?
Well, this is our Seracote area. So almost, well, I should say most of the products we make now aren't just finished with an old school parkerizing finish. Like that's not what the market demands anymore. So almost everything gets some Seracote final finish. Even our anodized parts on the Rex series or the MRAD series that are anodized and would be a decent functional outside surface, we want complete uniformity. I mean, our customers kind of get pretty picky about aesthetics when you're spending that much money, and you want a finish that doesn't have so much dependency on oil, and you want as maintenance free as possible. So almost everything now gets a final finish of Seracote.
And also gives you a choice of colors and things like that, and you can even match up somebody's Harley Davidson pretty close.
That's right. That's right. We could probably try harder at that.
But so you know, parkerizing is the standard, and it's functional, and and stuff like that. But yeah, the people want more, and the thing is, when you get a Barrett rifle, like, it is perfect. You can pick up other rifles that'll work, they'll be fine, but you can pick up other rifles at a gun shop and you can see imperfections in the finish and different parts. And Barrett goes to so much trouble perfecting their finish and everything on their guns that they put like protective tape where the door opens, so while in transit or on the gun shop wall, it doesn't get little dings in it, because that stuff is perfect when it leaves his shop, and then when it to arrive in the hands of the consumer, perfect. So they even take that much detail to put a little piece of protective tape over the area that might get a scuff during handling. So that shows you their attention to detail and the quality of the product they put out.
That is a big deal to our civilian customers, a lot of them, but for our military customers also, they have a different set of requirements. Like, they don't want anything black. You know, most rifles or handguns or any weapon system is going to be fielded by militaries from here on out is most likely not going to be black. It's going to be some type of FDE for the environment we're working in now. So that's why over here we have, these environmentally stabilized, they're basically a drink cooler, that keeps all of these different colors of Seracote. So every contract gun that we have, different countries will have a color they've specified that matches the other stuff in their arsenal or whatever they're going for. So we try to make our civilian customers happy with the aesthetics that you're talking about. We're giving our military customers what they want from a functionality standpoint, and keeping everybody happy is a big job, but we work on it all the time.
Well, it used to be with the AR-15, like Henry Ford, any color you want as long as you want it black. The world is changing, and the days of the black rifle are numbered.
Absolutely.
What's next?
Let's go over to this field craft. This is something you're probably not too familiar with seeing Barrett do, but we built a hunting rifle now.
You showed me an NRA, and when you first said, "Hey, let me show you our hunting rifles," I was thinking, "Well, we're going to shoot hogs with the 82A1."
No, we went purist. We went kind of traditional, but not really. It still has the Barrett DNA. So we're doing a lot of things with this rifle that make it. It's a precision rifle. It's a Barrett rifle, but it weighs 5 pounds.
When he told me about these, the way they build these, like if you contracted NASA to build a hunting rifle, this is, I mean, the alloys and the parts and the pieces and the specifications, like it was just such a departure from what I'm used to hearing about a hunting rifle.
Well, they've evolved for so many years from a Mauser style action, sporterized military rifles, to what most Americans think of as a sporting hunting rifle now. There was so much evolution, nobody had kind of really gone through it on that level yet. So
does this look familiar?
Oh yeah, we were making those in the barrel shells now. So, and the other thing we're doing here is we are building a rifle. Yeah, that's under 5 pounds without the guts in it. We are building a rifle that it absolutely meets the quality standards that you would get on a custom hand-built rifle, and it's going to hurt some people's feelings, but I'd say it exceeds it. It's a difference between a one-off custom hand-built rifle and something productionized to this level is repeatability and quality. And I've owned a lot of custom rifles. Now there's bespoke, you know, English, London-made rifles that are just really incredible. Maybe I'm not talking about those guys, but when you get a custom rifle, it's kind of like the first time it's ever been built.
Right.
You know, it hasn't been tested extensively in that configuration. It's that guy's best shot at making one. What we've done here is we wanted that configurability, we wanted that quality, but again, we wanted to do it every day on this kind of scale. This isn't a lot of rifles sitting here, but every one of these rifles is bedded to its stock. And that is just unheard of.
Individually,
yeah. And so when you see in the station over here, this lineup of all of these fixtures with clamps, I wish you could see it with the rifles in it. These have already been bedded, but all of those stations are filled with rifles with their bedding compound curing.
So for you guys that maybe don't understand what we're talking about, is there another factory that hand beds like a factory?
You know, there's a couple of other guns that maybe you would call them semi-custom or semi-production that may do this, but I don't think anyone has done it on the scale that we have or we're going to do.
There's no way. There's no way. So this is something that you would see at a custom shop, and for it to be in a factory setting is rare. It is, and certainly, like he said, on this level to this scale, never done before. This is fantastic.
A custom maker might build 100 rifles like this a year, maybe 200 if they've got some helpers. We're going to build that many in a week, and we're going to sell a rifle that is really worth $4,000 for $17.99 retail. That's what we're going to do. And you know, it's what I wanted. I wanted a perfect rifle, and I've been really disappointed by some that I've had built before, and we're not having that anymore. We're going to let people buy a rifle that's worth $4 grand and shoots like it for under $1,800. And you know, I don't really think of this as like the value company, but we know how to do this, and we're gonna kill it.
What's funny is what you just heard was Chris say, "I'm building a rifle I wanted." Well, you can do that when you own a manufacturing company, because I build classes that I want to take. So I mean, if you own a training company, you can do that too. But the thing is, I'm a discerning student, he's a discerning rifleman, and so when guys like us get the reins and we can do stuff, everybody benefits from that.
That's true. Well, let's head on to the next spot.
All right, man. So what's going on here, Chris?
So James, this is where all of the rifles get test fired. So we have a 100-meter indoor tunnel here, so we can do accuracy testing on every rifle. And then we also have on this side, we have a fixture with a bullet trap. So when we're just doing proof firing or function firing that doesn't require accuracy shooting, we can shoot on this side. It's a little crowded in here, but we can run both at once. This is one part of the factory that's kind of we have really outgrown over the years. So we still demand that every rifle be shot, and oddly enough, like a lot of people don't do this, they may think they do, we shoot everything for precision and accuracy. So everything. Like when you get a Rec 7 SBR, we shot groups with it here. And that's really unheard of, but it's kind of made this a choke point for the factory. We're going to fix that in the near future. So, but you know, being that it is a choke point, it's still a very valuable tool for us. We have to have it. Every target is recorded digitally with this ALER system. So we use paper targets down there, so we have backup, and we have to have nice aiming points. But every shot is recorded here on the screen, along with velocity for every single shot, velocity at the muzzle and at the target. So we get a lot of data. We try to glean as much information from every single shot as we can.
Chris came to our alumni weekend. Of course, he's a Tactical Response alumnus, and he came to alumni weekend years ago and did this thing about ammunition, about all the things that could be wrong with ammo and stuff like that. And I think some people were wondering like how you might know something like that, but you got this laboratory, and plus the rest of the shooting you do. Like this dude knows more about a empty brass case of ammunition. Like he's like Quincy, man. Like he can find a piece and he can tell you all kinds of stuff about that thing. It's amazing. But this whole setup, as you said, they've outgrown it. But man, there's so many guns have come through here, and there's so many stories from this place, and man, it's amazing to be in here. The whole factory is cool, but like this is the one place where it's just like, you know, these things are born here. Like,
that's right.
That's the embryonic stage out there, and right here is where they're born. So it's really cool. It's really cool. So earlier I was talking about like the protective tape that they put on these guns to ensure that they don't get nicks or things like that on the way to the consumer. And it just shows you the level of care that they take in ensuring that the absolute best product gets to the consumer. It's just, I've never seen this attention to detail ever before in any firearms manufacturing plant I've ever been in. This is probably my favorite section, Chris.
This is where the fun stuff happens. This is the rec assembly cell. So the REC series, they're all assembled here. And this is a little departure from the old way that Barrett rifles have traditionally been built on a bench. You know, when we were lower volume with the 82A1, as you know, some of the only products we had, they're kind of built over here on benches with multi-purpose tools out on the table. You grab what tools you need for the job. As we moved into rifles like the Rec 7 series and things like Fieldcraft, we see that, you know, the processes look quite a bit different when you're building that volume. So all of these fixtures and tools here are purpose-built, purpose-designed for these processes to build these rifles. So we don't have so many workbenches with toolboxes. We have, you know, assembly jigs with tools right here at the point of use.
Yep.
And the inventory, the parts that build the rifles are rolled in right to the point of use. So it's really fun to build a rifle here. It's efficient, and the quality that we get from having everything so visual and at arm's length means that the wrong tool is never used.
Right.
You know, the right torque wrenches are there for the job, and it just it's part of another reason why we can turn out a rifle like that.
And you guys have heard me talk about before, but I have a special fondness for the Rec series of rifles because I was around when Chris first came out with them. I was honored to be handed the prototype gun to go do some, you know, we put a bunch of rounds through it really fast.
I think you guys put 22,000 rounds through one of the original 5.56 Rec 7s.
In 28 days.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the gun, you know, just for me being around when it was conceived and stuff like that, I actually texted Chris and told him I'd burn his fucking house down if I didn't get the first one, but we're still friends. And but it's great for me to see now the second generation and the what I thought was already a fantastic gun is even better now.
Thank
and you guys have done a remarkable job. I wouldn't even have told you from that prototype gun. You know, you asked me what else, and I was like, Chris, I don't have anything to tell you. And so, but you've done it anyway. You've made the gun better anyway, and it's just amazing to see. And again, like I said, of everything that you guys do, this is the one that like I kind of feel the most kinship with.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm real proud of what you guys have done with these guns, and I love the ones I have. You know, they're awesome.
I never thought we would have been here. You know, coming from being the 50 caliber rifle company, and still most people only know us as that.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have a marketing challenge convincing people that we make anything else besides that 50 caliber rifle.
Right.
It's not the worst problem to have, but I never thought we would be here.
Right.
And I just realized that the rifle you're holding in your hand is actually a contract rifle. This is a 300 Blackout SBR. This is the semi-auto version. This particular customer bought semis and select fire. So yeah, we now have a product line that evolved from those early days of you testing that and wringing the thing out, which we learned a lot from, to it is now being fielded by some of the most demanding customers in the world. And for us to have Dad's rifles, the 82 series, the 95, even my Model 99 has been adopted by U.S. military.
His gun.
Yeah, and the MRAD. I mean, we probably have more rifles that have been adopted by U.S. military. Like some companies have like one product in their line, but I think everything besides our Fieldcraft rifle and the shotgun line that we have of sporting shotguns is in military use somewhere. And for us, that's a great honor, but it's a great responsibility, and it's part of the reason why we build rifles that run, why we put so much thought into them, and why we care so much about it, because we know where they go.
It absolutely shows with every single product, every single screw. The attention to detail absolutely shows. So we are in the Advanced Research Lab here at Barrett Firearms, and we're going to talk about gun design. That's no small thing, and a lot of cool guns have been designed in this area that we're in here. So let's talk about that, Chris. What's some of the things you consider when you're going to design them?
You know, a lot of feedback from military users, from, you know, because they're the toughest on these things, but it's I think that what really makes us different is where we've got our process down on design now. We're in the advanced research group, and the reason I call it that and not R&D is I broke the research away from the D. You know, D is development, and development is a thing that companies do to make money. You have to develop new products to bring them out. Research should not be tethered with that. Research is for dreaming.
Yep.
And that's why we call this the advanced research group. I want these guys over here to consider problems that customers have and consider solutions to fix them. And you know, they can't be tethered down with, well, what's going to be profitable? You know, and what product do we need for 2018 to respond to the market? So we have this advanced research group, and they're able to really dream big and think outside of the box. Hate to use that term again, but it's just the truth. So things that we consider is absolutely at the forefront is reliability. You know, if it doesn't work all the time, you die. I mean, you can die.
Right.
So it doesn't matter how great the groups are, or how light it is, or how pretty it looks, if it doesn't work first. So reliability is paramount. We kind of over-design some things for reliability and ruggedness, and you know, and longevity. But then for us, really, you know, our mission is accuracy after reliability.
Well, I mean, there's no doubt that when people talk about Barrett firearms, doesn't matter which model, like they think quality. They think top of the line, you know, quality and performance and reliability. And that is something, I don't know if you've tried to make that build that into your brand, but it certainly is your brand. So, and then because you build precision rifles, you know, the 82A1 and things like that, the longer range stuff, then the accuracy has to come into play, of course. And I agree with you, but not at the sacrifice of reliability. And because your dad and you and the whole family are shooters, you guys get that on a fundamental level. And I keep bringing it up, but as you know, that's something that's missing from American firearms development and corporations is shooters.
Yeah.
And so please continue accuracy.
Yeah, it's you're right. We have high standards on these things, and we you know, kind of as you saw going through the plant, like we paint the back of the fence, like, which means we do things that some people will never even know about or see for us. And there's just things that we won't tolerate anymore either. And a rifle that does not perform the way I expect it to, every time I take it out, I actually get rid of them. I just won't even keep them. And so, you know, I've been through a lot of things like that. I own this big gun store up here. I've been a shooter all my life. I've been in contact with a lot of different firearms. And, you know, there are a few out there, and everybody has one, like this faithful rifle, whether it's your granddad's hunting rifle or that carbine you use every weekend that always answers when you call. It does exactly what you expect it to do. But the truth is, like, a lot of guns don't. And you know, they've really become, some of them have become almost like a commoditized consumer product that are, you know, built for profit and built to respond to, you know, some market trend. And that's not what we do here. You know, we build rifles that we want to shoot, that do exactly what we ask them to. So when I point this MRAD at a target at 1,000 yards and I have the proper data for the cartridge I'm shooting, I demand that when that trigger is pulled, that plate is struck. Period. And like the first time a rifle or the second time it doesn't, like, you're done with it. Like, whether you know it or not, in your heart you're like, ugh. Like, it's always in the back of your head, and you can't have that. You can't have that with a firearm or a car. You know, that car better stop when you hit the brakes. Right. If it doesn't a few times, chances are, like, you're gonna have a serious head and heart problem with that car. So, you know, it's really the same way with our rifles. We demand a lot of them. They have to work 100% of the time. They have to do what you expect them to do, which means they telegraph a bullet to where your brain thinks it should be. And when you have a rifle like that, it's awesome. Well,
here's what's funny: as we film this, there's a fire sale on AR-15s. You know, like the industry's down, and people are like, you can get this one AR-15 for $500. It used to be $1,000, and what I tell them is it was always a $500 AR-15.
That's right. That's right.
It's just now that's what it costs. It never was worth that. And so I try to tell people when they look at a Barrett rifle, I've been to a lot of factories. And to reiterate, like the level of care and attention to detail that goes into a Barrett rifle is unmatched in the firearms industry.
Thank you, James.
I mean, maybe if I went to Rolex or Breitling or something and watched them do a watch together, maybe I would see that. But you've been around and you won't toot your own horn. I don't mind, but I'm telling you, I've never seen any level of commitment to building a reliable, accurate rifle. I've never seen that level of commitment anywhere I've ever been in my life.
Man, thank you. It means a lot to us.
And so why is mine all shoot low left?
Well, that might be a little
I say that all the time. People go, "Oh, this gun's no good. It always shoots left." But no, it's been fun, and I think this is a good place to kind of wrap the video up. Chris, thanks a bunch. As you guys know, full disclosure, Chris is my friend, and I want you guys to know who Chris is. I want you guys to know who this company is. This won't be the last time we'll be here, Chris. We're going to do some other stuff together and try to let you guys really get to know who Barrett, not just Chris, but who Barrett is and what this company is about. And we were out there earlier, and Chris ran into an employee that he had never met before, and he told me about how he felt bad about that. He just said things are busy, we've hired people, and he says, I remember a day when I knew every single person here. And that's the kind of guy he is, that he actually vocalized to me that he felt bad that he was meeting a guy for the first time out there on the floor. That just shows you what kind of person he is. It shows you what kind of friend he is, or employer he is, and what kind of man he is. That like he wants everybody in this building to do well, and he tries to figure out what it's going to take to make that happen. So they're not just building rifles here. I mean, he's built a family here. And I'm not just saying that. Like
you're gonna make me cry. Thank you, James.
But let's see if you got questions. If something you want to see next time, post it below the video. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you,
he's a busy man, and for him to take time out like this for you guys and for me is a big deal. But we'll just remind you that your responsibility to be ready for the fight never ends.